Hey teachers, it's Ashley from Yoga for That. Today I'm here to talk to you about building trust amongst your yoga students and why that's so important to your career as well as to your students. Building trust with your students comes from being consistent. And being consistent can be everything from the type of music you use, to the format you offer, to the word choices that you use. And being consistent is important so that as your students start to follow you and grow with you, they know what to expect. And you're not throwing new things at them all the time, although you certainly can do that over time, and we'll get to that later in this video. But being consistent enough that they know what to expect from you, and they can feel their own practice beginning to grow and to develop through your teaching. Building trust also comes from taking control of the room, and that means setting boundaries amongst your students. That means being consistent with how you lead a class. So not letting people leave early, not letting people come in late. And of course you can vary with this and you can talk to your students individually, of course, as they need. But your students need to know that they're in a safe room. And by you taking control, they know they can trust you in leading a safe and welcoming class. Building trust also comes from the idea of valuing your students' time and starting on time. So of course things might go awry and things can always happen and you might start a little bit late, but even if something has come up, you can always start them in child's pose or shavasana, allowing themselves to at least to arrive into their space while you finish up what you are doing. And that also means being considerate of ending the class on time. And as much as most of us teachers and students are more than happy to stay in Shavasana a little bit over time, a lot of us do have places to go and places to be, and sometimes that 1 hour we just were able to fit that into our schedule. And so being mindful of that your students do want to be with you, but they also have other places to be and unfortunately can't stay all day with you. So being considerate that you're ending on time and starting on time. Building trust also comes from practicing what you preach. There's so many different kinds of yoga teachers out there. There's the vegan yogis, the true yogis, every kind of yogi. And for myself, I consider myself a balanced yogi. So I practice yoga so that I can enjoy other indulgences in the rest of my life. And often after I teach 4 back-to-back classes, my comment is that I'm looking forward to going home, having a beer, and taking a nap. And my students know that about me, and they know that that's just who I am, and it speaks to a lot of the people that come to my classes because I do practice what I preach. And they enjoy that, and they can jive with that. And if that's not the kind of yoga teacher they want, then feeling free to direct them to another teacher, someone who is more valued wise the same way. So whether they are vegetarian or vegan or they only practice a specific style of yoga, just be mindful that everyone is different and it's more than okay to be who you are, and people will totally jive with that and you will build a following from that. People will trust you more because you're honest with who you are and how you teach. Finally, building trust comes from listening and acknowledging your students. So as much as feedback can be good, feedback can be not so good. And it's important to at least acknowledge that someone has given you, whether it's good or bad feedback, but acknowledging that feedback. And then take that home with you. And if it was good feedback, just be happy with that, smile, thank them. If it was negative feedback, you can always talk to them right then about it, and maybe there was a miscommunication if something happened, or maybe they were just looking for a different style, and feel free then to either direct them to a different style of class, whether with you or maybe another teacher. So just be mindful that people want to talk to you, people want to express their feelings, so acknowledge that they're talking to you and acknowledge what they've said to you. Building trust also means that you can begin to try new things in your classes. Whether you've done more training, whether you were inspired by another teacher in a class, is to start weaving new things into your teaching practice. And as much as in the first part of the video I spoke to being consistent, is over time you've built and grown this community of yogis that is following you, and they like what you have to offer. So feeling free to expand on that, and their practice will develop as your teaching practice develops. So know that as you begin to offer new things to them, they are growing and they're developing along with you. Building trust amongst your students also helps to build trust amongst the yoga community. We've all heard horror stories about someone who went to their first yoga class and was absolutely the worst experience they ever had. And that could happen to you. Someone might have come in with great expectations or completely polarized expectations of what was offered in that class. And that's where coming back to acknowledging and listening to your students comes in so handy. Is also taking the time to acknowledge new students, check in with them after class, and especially if they seem to be resistant to what you are offering, maybe check in with them. Was that their first class? That's something you should do at the start of class, but often we get so busy we can't do that. So check in with people at the end, and if it wasn't what they were looking for, build trust with them in terms of sending them to another style of class, or maybe sending them to a different studio or a different teacher altogether. Where I teach is primarily hot yoga, so if someone wasn't into that, I'm gonna try and find them a place where it's a cold room, or maybe not such a hot room, a more mild temperature, room temperature. So just be mindful that we're also not building not just building our own practice, but we're building the entire yoga community in terms of developing and growing all of our teachers into supportive masters of yoga, where we can start to send our students to all of these different areas, whether people are looking to grow their practice, maybe they're going through a different life event, they're pregnant or just came back from pregnancy. You can start to lead them to these other style of classes that would be more supportive of the life they're in right now. One thing I'd also like to mention is how important building trust is in terms of building your own community, because, and I don't know if any other teachers who are watching this have had the same thing, but the majority of my following has come from word of mouth. I teach mostly Saturdays, and I have one specific class that I teach, and I've been teaching it for about 4.5 years every Saturday, except if I was off. But it's been my class for 4.5 years, and that class has just boomed. It's almost always full, and it's because of word of mouth. People are bringing their friends, they're bringing their moms, they're bringing their daughters, they're bringing their husbands or boyfriends, whoever, and those are the people that I now want to build trust with, because they were told by their friend what a great class this was, whether it was the style of the class or it was me personally, but I now have that responsibility to continue to make that class great, so I don't disappoint my regular client who now brought someone with them and vouched for me. So knowing that building trust is not only just for yourself, but now you have a responsibility to your students, which is super important to remember as you're teaching, is that there's this constant responsibility to show up, to be truthful, and to know that these people have taken time out of their day to come practice under you and to spend their time with you. So knowing that teaching is just, it's a huge responsibility. I absolutely love it. I can't imagine doing anything else, especially at this point in my life. But just remember that these people, your students, are here for you and taking time out of their day to come to you. So building trust in terms of being there for them, and if something comes up, knowing that we're also working to build an entire yoga community. So just being mindful that you can always recommend other teachers. That doesn't take away from your fellowship at all. People will trust you even more if you send them to an amazing yoga teacher. So just know that we're building a community. You're building your own community. We're building this world full of yogis, and just do you. Alright, so to do a little recap, so building trust, we're wanting to stay consistent. We want to take control of the room. We want to be mindful of time. We want to practice what we preach. And we want to make sure to listen and acknowledge our students. And it's important to build trust so that we can try new things in class. We can build a loyal following of our own. We can build our own community and the community around us. And we can also build trust within the yoga community. If you enjoyed this video and you found it useful and you're looking to build your own teaching practice, whether you're new or experienced, we're currently launching our first course in February called So You're a Yoga Teacher, Now What? And it's going to cover all the basics of how to get a job, how to teach effectively. It'll answer frequently asked questions. There'll be live videos, there'll be pre-recorded videos, there'll be homework assignments. It's going to be awesome. I don't have my page up quite yet, so make sure to go down below in the info of this video and subscribe to our mailing list for that, and you'll be one of the first people to get the information for the course as we roll out the launch over the next week or so. And the doors open on January 29th to buy the course, but you'll get information prior to that. So make sure to subscribe using the link below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, share it with your friends if you think they'll find it useful as well, and make sure to comment below. And I'll continue to make content like this for you in the future. See you guys next week. Thanks so much.